Criticism, in its various forms, is an inevitable aspect of the human experience, a constant undercurrent in the flow of social interaction. From casual remarks on your appearance to scathing reviews of your work, from unsolicited advice from family to harsh judgments online, the human tendency to evaluate and vocalize opinions about others is pervasive. However, it is not the mere presence of criticism that ultimately shapes your journey, impacts your mental well-being, or determines your ability to persevere, but rather how you consciously choose to receive, process, and respond to it that fundamentally defines your inner strength and resilience. This distinction is paramount, shifting the locus of control from the external critic to your internal landscape. The majority of individuals, unfortunately, tend to crumble at the first sign of disapproval, recoiling as if struck by a physical blow. They take every comment, regardless of its source, its intent, or its validity, deeply and personally to heart. This immediate, unexamined internalization is a common, almost reflexive defense mechanism, a primitive response rooted in a deep-seated fear of rejection or not being enough. They allow these external opinions, these fleeting, often ill-informed pronouncements, to insidiously shape their self-perception, eroding their confidence and dictating their subsequent actions. This can lead to a paralysis of action, a fear of trying new things, or a tendency to conform to external expectations rather than follow their authentic path. Ultimately, this unexamined reaction weakens their resolve, diverting them from their chosen path and dimming the light of their unique potential. But consider the fundamental irrationality of this response when viewed objectively. Criticism, in its purest, most stripped-down form, is nothing more than words, vibrations in the air, pixels on a screen. It is subjective opinions and individual perspectives, often originating from individuals who possess little to no understanding of your unique journey, your underlying motivations, the vast landscape of challenges you've navigated, or the specific context of your endeavors. Their viewpoint is limited by their own experiences and their emotional state at the moment they offer their critique. The crucial reality that must be internalized is that criticism only wields as much power over you as you consciously choose to grant it through your emotional engagement and subsequent internalization. When you react emotionally and defensively to criticism, when you feel a surge of anger, hurt, shame, or indignation, you are, in effect, surrendering control of your inner state. You are handing over the keys to your emotional equilibrium to someone else, allowing their external opinion, however uninformed or malicious, to dictate your internal landscape. This is a passive and disempowering stance. However, when you consciously filter criticism through the objective lens of logic and reason, you reclaim that power. You create a vital space between the stimulus, the criticism, and your response, your action or feeling, enabling you to analyze the feedback dispassionately and maintain your emotional equilibrium. It is fundamentally useful to recognize that criticism generally falls into two distinct categories, and understanding this distinction is the first step in processing it effectively: constructive and destructive. Constructive criticism, when offered with genuine intent to help or improve, and ideally based on relevant expertise, experience, or a clear understanding of the context, is an invaluable resource. It is a potent catalyst for personal and professional growth. This type of feedback should be actively welcomed, even solicited. It provides specific, actionable insights that can help you identify blind spots you were unaware of, refine your skills, improve your work processes, and ultimately enhance your outcomes. It is delivered with respect, focuses on the work or behavior rather than the person, and often comes with suggestions for improvement. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is typically devoid of genuine value and often originates from a place of insecurity, jealousy, personal bias, fundamental misunderstanding, or simply a desire to tear down. These types of negative pronouncements are frequently vague, overly harsh, personal attacks, or focus on things you cannot change. They are designed to hurt, diminish, or discourage, rather than to help. Recognizing the hallmarks of destructive criticism, its non-specific nature, its focus on blame rather than improvement, the emotional tone of the delivery, and the potential underlying motivations of the critic is crucial. These criticisms hold no inherent power to affect you unless you inadvertently grant them that power through your emotional engagement and internalization. Consider the powerful analogy of a dedicated sculptor meticulously shaping their masterpiece from a block of stone. Along the way, they may inevitably encounter negative voices from onlookers, perhaps passers-by who lack artistic understanding, fellow artists who are secretly envious, or critics who simply have a different aesthetic preference. These onlookers might question their artistic vision, criticize their chosen technique, or declare that the emerging form is flawed. However, a true artist, anchored by their internal vision and understanding of their craft, remains focused on their work, undeterred by external noise. They don't immediately abandon their chisel or question their talent because of a negative comment. Instead, they act as the discerning curator of feedback. They might pause to listen, especially if the critic is a respected peer or mentor. They carefully assess if the feedback points to an actual structural issue they overlooked, a refinement that could enhance the piece, or a perspective they hadn't considered. They selectively incorporate any genuinely helpful suggestions that align with or improve their internal vision, while consciously and deliberately disregarding the rest, the uninformed opinions, the envious jabs, the irrelevant aesthetic preferences. Similarly, when you are subjected to criticism, you must consciously act as the discerning sculptor of your own life, your work, and your self-perception. You are the artist, and your life work is the masterpiece in progress. Ultimately, criticism serves as a potent test of your emotional resilience, a crucible in which your inner strength is either forged or fractured. It is an inevitable friction point that reveals where your vulnerabilities lie. Those with a weaker mental constitution, whose sense of self is heavily reliant on external validation, tend to react impulsively, defensively, and often emotionally to any form of disapproval. Their reaction is a testament to their inner fragility, easily shaken by external forces. Conversely, the truly strong and self-assured individual, whose confidence is rooted in a solid foundation of self-awareness and internal validation, remains calm, composed, and grounded in the face of criticism. They acknowledge the feedback, process it thoughtfully, but crucially, not allowing it to disrupt their inner peace or derail their progress. Their ability to stand firm, remain centered, and continue moving forward with conviction, regardless of the intensity, frequency, or nature of the criticism directed your way, is a defining characteristic that distinguishes great minds, visionary leaders, and resilient individuals throughout history. Think of scientists whose theories were initially ridiculed, artists whose work was initially rejected, entrepreneurs whose ideas were initially dismissed, or activists who faced immense opposition. Their ability to persevere stemmed not from an absence of criticism, but from an unwavering conviction in their purpose and the mental resilience to navigate external doubt. To cultivate this essential resilience in the face of criticism, you must consciously and consistently practice the art of detachment from immediate emotional reactions. This is perhaps the most critical skill. When confronted with critical feedback, whether it's delivered in person, via email, or in a comment, make a deliberate pause before formulating any response, internal or external. This pause is a sacred space, a moment you insert between the stimulus, the criticism, and your habitual, often emotional reaction. During this deliberate pause, take a deep breath and anchor yourself in the present moment. This creates the necessary distance to prevent emotional outbursts. Separate the signal from the noise, the valuable insights from the personal biases, the objective observations from the subjective judgments. Ask yourself those critical questions about the source and the content dispassionately. Remember that true and lasting confidence does not fluctuate with the opinions of others. It emanates from within, rooted in deep self-awareness, self-acceptance, and a quiet conviction in your own capabilities and path. It is built not on external applause, but on navigating challenges, learning from mistakes, even those pointed out by critics, and staying true to your inner vision. It transforms criticism from a potential stumbling block into a potential stepping stone, a test you are equipped to pass, strengthening your resolve with each challenge overcome. When you receive criticism, what is your immediate physical and emotional reaction? Can you identify the feeling and the automatic thoughts that arise? Think about the last time criticism deeply affected you. Was it constructive or destructive? What was the source, and did their credibility or intent truly warrant the power you gave their words? If you enjoyed the content and would like to support this channel, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the section below. And I'll see you next time.